Wow, what a trade. Not saying good or bad. That'll be the end. If you guys haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe, turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops to your jobs. Appreciate y'all coming back. So, with that being said, we have a trade to talk about. Going to break down the positives, the negatives, what I think overall, what the Yankees need to do going forward. But let's get into it. So the Yankees, in their first big move of the offseason, have traded catcher Gary Sanchez and third baseman Giovanni Urshela. Gio Urshela is really his name, but Giovanni is like his full name. To the Minnesota Twins in exchange for third baseman Josh Donaldson, shortstop, infielder Isiah Kiner-Falefa, and catcher Ben Rortvedt. Now, there could be other pieces that come along that we don't know about. Obviously, I'll update you guys on Twitter and stuff like that, whatever. And I'll tell you the truth. I'll tell you what my first reaction was, and then I'll tell you how I tried doing some research on it, how I felt afterwards. So my first reaction was I was doing my Giants mock off season. I was trying to take some notes on some of the draft picks and my mock draft and stuff like that. And free agents, I was trying to look for an edge rusher. You guys will see that video if you're Giants fans or if you're fans of the channel. Just overall, you'll see that very, very soon. So I go to the Twitter chat because I have instincts. NYY, News TV, the podcast, we have a big group chat. NYST, Gary Sheffield Jr., a lot of the other podcasters in that group chat. Ozzie Guillen's son, Ozzie Guillen Jr. is in that chat. So we have a lot of good people in that chat that are part of the team and stuff like that. If you guys have any, please go subscribe over there. Help us out. 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. And Pete says, Gary Sanchez to the Twins. I'm like, what are you talking about? So I go on Twitter and I see Gary Sanchez to the Twins, John Heyman. I'm screaming. I'm happy. You know, I've been one of the proponents of Gary Sanchez just getting the fuck out of here, all right? Gary Sanchez, the last 2-3 years, has just been horrible. Has been horrible for the Yankees. Not running on the bases, a lot of pitchers on the pitching staff not wanting to throw to him. It was time for him to go. And a lot of people had speculation, oh, well, you know, he could possibly go to a National League team, be the DH, because of the DH rule now. So I was jumping up in the air of that. And then I saw we gave up Urshela, and I saw we got Donaldson, Rortvedt, and Kiner-Falefa. So I was still, I would say, happy about the move because of getting rid of Gary. And this is not just, oh, you hate on a player. No. I'm a realist. I'm not a pessimist. I'm not an optimist. I'm a realist, okay? Gary Sanchez needed to go. That's just plain and fucking simple. Gary Sanchez needed to go. But then I started calming down, and I took a couple of minutes to realize what this move meant to the Yankees. Is it good? Is it bad? Whatever it might be. And Twins fans, obviously, if you like the trade, if you don't like the trade, please, down below, tell me. Because I want to hear some input from the outside, not just the Yankees fans. So, positives, right? We get rid of Gary Sanchez. A lot of pitchers last season on the staff, typically 3/5 of the rotation didn't want to throw to Gary by the end of the season. He was not the starter in the AL wildcard game, which tells you a lot of things. Garrett Cole didn't want to throw to him. Jordan Montgomery, I think, didn't want to throw to him. Corey Kluber didn't want to throw to him. And that tells you something. That has to tell you something as an organization. If they ran into the season with Gary Sanchez at catcher, not a serious baseball team. Because Gary Sanchez, I don't know personally if he has the heart to play baseball or if he has the heart to do certain things without people trying to be up his ass and light a fire under his ass. Kind of like Joe Girardi. So we'll see what happens in Minnesota with Rocco Baldelli and, you know, some of the other coaches over there. So I thought that move was good. Now here's where I feel in the middle, kind of. I've been a big proponent of Carlos Correa and the Yankees actually upgrading at shortstop. Not going to lie to you. Before, I'm not going to lie, once again, I did want to try to test out Volpe and Peraza. I wasn't a big proponent of Correa. Then I started recognizing some of the positives that came along with Correa, and then I got on that train. Not just, oh, you're just going with the popular opinion. No, I did my research. I went with the popular opinion, but for the reasons of my own reasons, right? He's a proven product, unlike Volpe and Peraza. And just overall with this move, Kiner-Falefa, the Yankees apparently were interested and trading for him last year, which obviously kind of once again tells where they got him from, where the idea is coming from. It's been the last couple of months they've had interest in him, and then it seemed like they were out on him because the Twins traded for him, and now he comes to us in a deal. So there's where the middle part comes in. This kind of, in my personal opinion, takes the Yankees out of Carlos Correa, Trevor Story, which is a little bit disappointing. Obviously, Kiner-Falefa can play all over the infield. Correa, though, is a leader. Correa is a leader. We saw last year multiple times when there was a home run hit by the other team, whatever the case may be, the Yankees would be down in games. There would be no excitement in the dugout. There would be nothing. There would be absolutely no energy. Everybody would be asleep by the sixth inning. Carlos Correa, in my mind, thought, at least in my mind, probably would have lit a spark in their ass. Would have been more of a voice and a leader than Aaron Boone. So there is news now that Carlos Correa is talking with the Astros. Not saying whether he's going over there or not. My prediction for him was going to the Cubs because I thought they would be competitive, but they went Andrelton Simmons, which, once again, doesn't make a lot of sense. So there's my optimistic kind of in the middle thing. Kiner-Falefa, he's good. He's definitely an upgraded shortstop. Gleyber doesn't have a position right now. We'll talk about it in just a second. But that takes you out of the Correa sweepstakes. That takes you out of Trevor Story sweepstakes. So, I don't know. That's just middle for me. Yes, Kiner-Falefa is an upgrade, but you could have gotten better. Maybe they weren't willing to spend on Trevor Story or Carlos Correa. Now, here is where it gets a little, it gets a little bit not great. I mean, that's not great words to put it in, but here's where it gets on the negative side. Ben Rortvedt, who they got back in the trade, is one of the prospects for the Minnesota Twins last year, and he's been in the majors only 1 year, so that should give you a little pause, just a tiny bit. Last year with the Twins, 29 strikeouts and a total of 89 at-bats, 169 batting average, total of 3 home runs, 7 RBIs, 39 games. So he didn't play a shit ton last year. And what would bother me about going into the season with Rortvedt is, okay, yes, he is a better defensive catcher than Gary Sanchez, but you don't really have guys that can hit for power, and you don't really have proven commodities at catcher. Jacob Stallings would have been a different story because, okay, he's not good offensively, but he's one of the best defensively, and he's been in the majors for a couple of years now. Where Rortvedt, he's only been in the majors 1 year, and then you have Higashioka as the backup, which isn't great. Yes, he's probably better than Gary defensively, but he doesn't really hit well. And I've been on that side where, you really can't worry about a catcher hitting well, but either way, you don't have two proven commodities. We should say you don't have proven commodities to catcher right now. So there's that. One of the other negatives in this trade as of right now is that the Yankees are taking on the remaining $50 million with Josh Donaldson's deal. I don't necessarily like that. Now, there is a negative with Josh Donaldson as well. Now, there's a lot of negatives, but everybody worried, or at least a lot of stands in terms of Volpe, Peraza, those other cats. They worried about Carlos Correa getting along with Aaron Judge. If you remember last year, Josh Donaldson came out and accused Garrett Cole of spider tack, and that whole controversy went on, and then Garrett Cole clapped back, and there was a back and forth, and then, obviously, when Donaldson was with the Twins, Garrett Cole, in his first outing, I think, against Donaldson after the spider tag thing, he struck him out. So, and that's more recent. It's not like, Correa, just last year they cheated. No, there's no evidence of that. Correa, Astros, they cheated in 2017. 2019 is definitely possible, but that's almost 3 years ago. With Donaldson and Cole, that was just last year. So I don't know that the dust has necessarily settled there, and that's a bit of a worry for me. Josh Donaldson's also 36 years old, so yes, he does not get actually $50 million this year. I think that would be stupid, but according to Spot Track, he gets $21 million in his base salary this year. Next year, it's $21 million as well. Then I believe a club option, $16 million in 2024. 2025, he hits free agency. There's an $8 million buyout in 2024 for Josh Donaldson. Let me try to think. Anything else I could just gather on him? No. So, let me give you a profile so it's not just, last year, whatever. So, he is 36. As I said, he's going to be 37 this year in December. He was with the Athletics to start his career. Everybody should know that. 2010, 2012 to 2014. Then he went to the Blue Jays, where he probably had the most success. 2015, 2018. Then the Cleveland Indians / Guardians 2018, 2019. Atlanta Braves 2020 to 2021 with the Twins. And then obviously with the Yankees. Now, some accolades of his: 3-time All-Star, AL MVP once, 2-time Silver Slugger, AL Hank Aaron Award, NL Comeback Player of the Year, and AL RBI leader. So, obviously I brought up the Gerrit Cole stuff. Now let's take a look at his stats from about last 2-3 years. Last year, 247 average, which is just below the Mendoza line. I could kind of deal with that. But 114 strikeouts, and he's had some injury issues over the years. He played in 135 games last year. 26 home runs, 72 RBIs, total of 74 walks. The year before that, total of 28 games. Obviously, that's a Mickey Mouse season. 222 batting average, 24 strikeouts, 18 walks, which honestly seems a little low, but obviously, 24 strikeouts in 28 games, that kind of seems, in terms of ratio, that seems even, not even, however you want to call it. So with the Braves, in a total of 155 games in 2019, total of 155 strikeouts, 100 walks, 259 batting average, 37 home runs, 94 RBI. So that probably was his real last good season, but the same thing, the strikeouts. And you lose a little bit defensively. I'm going to say that right now. Listen, I have been a big proponent of trying to get a guy by the name of Jose Ramirez from the Indians, Guardians, whatever the fuck you want to call them. Because he's good defensively, he's a leader, and he's a good guy. In terms of the ratio from strikeouts to walks, I think he walks more than he strikes out. And he's a good hitter just overall. I was a big proponent of him in terms of trading for him. Obviously, Yankees got Donaldson. There's a lot of negatives that come with Donaldson taking on the $50 million remainder in his contract. He's 36 years old, doesn't necessarily get along with Gerrit Cole, and that's recent, so it's not like, it's 3 years ago, as I mentioned. And his tone is going down in terms of his hitting, and he's aging. And you lose a little bit defensively, as I mentioned. I said, look, if you're going to upgrade for Gio Urshela, upgrade. But I don't know that this was an upgrade. And you have to really be weary about defense on the left side of the infield. Like Kiner-Falefa, yes, that's an upgrade over Gleyber Torres. I think anybody can say that right now. Donaldson, is he really a defensive upgrade over Urshela? Urshela's younger. He's more, I would say Donaldson, lean may not be the word, but I would say Donaldson is a bit chunkier. Not saying fat like Pablo Sandoval, but Urshela can make defensive plays the way he's built. Josh Donaldson, I think, used to do that. I don't think he does that too much anymore. That's my worry. I'm going to be real. I'm going to be honest. So, according to Twitter, I put up a poll in terms of approve, disapprove of the trade. So, 27 votes. Obviously, this could go in a multitude of fashions. 25.9% approve, 74.1% disapprove. So, here's my thing. And I just got a text from my buddy, Brian Mansell. I apologize. So here's the thing. Here is the thing. It is not necessarily promising to have Ben Rortvedt and Kyle Higashioka as your catchers, as I mentioned before. Now, you take a look at some other things. Gleyber Torres does not have a spot in the infield right now. You could say second base, but where are you going to put LeMahieu? In this case, you would put him at first, but where's Voit going to go? So realistically, you could trade Luke Voit, Gleyber Torres to Oakland, and maybe a few prospects. That I wouldn't mind, for Matt Olson and a guy by the name of Sean Murphy, who's been in the league a couple of years, and he's a good defensive catcher. Maybe you try to snag a starting pitcher, but they would have to give up an intense amount of prospects, and I don't think Brian Cashman is doing that. As GM, if I was put in that position, would I do that? Yeah, I would do that because it makes my team better. But it is more likely that they trade for Murphy and Olson and not a starting pitcher because obviously Brian Cashman is very tight with prospects. So overall thoughts on this trade, I'm not going to take too much of your time anymore. I like the getting rid of Gary Sanchez. The Yankees need to have a real catcher plan because if they go into the season with Rortvedt and Higashioka as their catchers, that's not great. Yeah, it may be a slight defensive upgrade. Not great at all. Kiner-Falefa, he's an upgraded shortstop, but with that being said, it takes you out of the Correa sweepstakes. In terms of Donaldson, there's a lot more negatives than there are positives, especially taking on the remaining $50 million throughout 2023, 2024. He's 36 years old. He's aging and doesn't make the amount of defensive plays anymore that he used to and that Gio Urshela would. And I feel like Gio Urshela was the bargaining chip for getting rid of Gary Sanchez. I didn't think they would get rid of Gary Sanchez. I'm going to be honest with you. But we'll see what happens. I pay no homage. Listen, Gio Urshela did a lot of great things for the Yankees. I thought he struggled this past year, but he was good defensively since 2019. And solid hitter, not a great hitter, not a terrible hitter. Gary Sanchez, I mean, his first part of his career, he was good. And then Aaron Boone comes in and he goes down the toilet. To be honest with you, I owe nothing to Gary Sanchez. And this is not me being a negative Nancy or just hating on a player. Listen, he needed to fucking go. Let's be honest. If you're Gary Homer or if you didn't want Gary Sanchez to go, feel free to go on Twitter and debate me. Feel free to go in the comments and debate me. I'm just going to be real. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not an optimist. I'm not a pessimist. I'm a realist. That's just where you're going to get, what you're going to get on this channel. So look out for my mock off-season video. I'm probably going to record that next and take a couple of notes. But, like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops through drops. Appreciate y'all coming back. Hopefully the Yankees make another move because this really shouldn't be it for the offseason. You really don't want to go into the season with Luke Voit as your first baseman or Torres as your second baseman. You want to upgrade at first base. You want to get a starting pitcher and maybe a better catcher. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Peace out, guys. See you later. Stay cool. And how many days, are we from spring training? At least 3. So we're almost there. See you guys.